I don't remember what Dan's intro is to this, so I'll just wing it.
Welcome back to another episode of Nos. Stay tuned, where we preview all the new movies and television for the month. We do the research, so you don't have to.
That's what the editing process is for, right? I welcome everyone to this month's edition of Stay Tuned, where we preview movies so you don't have to and try to give you an idea of what is coming ahead so you can plan your schedule. Here we have our host for this month, George.
Oh
Welcome,
snap! I'm the
George.
host. Hi guys.
Oh, wait, you are not the host. Our co-host. Yeah. Co-host here for this month, George. We're going to be introducing a lot of the things that are coming in December. There are some things that we might miss. So if we do miss them, make sure you put it down in the comments so we can preview it. With that being said, let's get right into it.
Yeah, what is up on December?
Yeah. Well, this is one of those months, and it's typical this type of season. You don't have many new shows debuting, so this is going to be dominated by movies. We have just one show here. So let's get right into it. The movies on the 1st, December 1st, we have coming to Amazon Prime, Candy Cane Lane. This is directed by Reginald Hudlin. He had worked on a lot of good TV shows. He's worked on Psych, The Office, Everybody Hates Chris. A bunch of shows that he's worked throughout, and then here having a foray into a movie. This stars Eddie Murphy, Tracy Ellis Ross, Jillian Bell. Basically, the premise behind it is you have a man who makes a deal with an elf to win a neighborhood decorating contest. And this elf ends up casting a spell that brings the 12 days of Christmas to life. And if he doesn't stop her in time, he's going to pretty much be turned into a small toy. That's the premise of it. It's a Christmas movie. George, you saw a preview on this. What are your thoughts?
I did. I mean, it definitely feels like a typical Eddie Murphy family movie to some extent. You know, if you saw Daddy Daycare or anything like that, it's gonna have that feel to it. If you like those movies, I think it's gonna be a good time for people. You know, I mean, during the Christmas time, even from Eddie Murphy, I'm not gonna want to see him, throwing F-bombs everywhere and doing like his 80s shtick. I'm gonna want maybe a more family friendly Eddie Murphy. So I'm kind of excited for this one, to be honest. I love Christmas. There is a line that's said in the trailer that I kind of chuckled at, and I was like, that was good. It was like, because like the family's coming together at this point, and they're trying to like stop the evil elf and try to survive this Christmas terror per se. And the mom just goes to the kid. It's like, have you ever died before? And the kid's like, no, I never died before. He's like, yeah, you don't want to. It's like, so that shit hurts. So I guess she's like making dying sound really bad. And Eddie's behind her. It's like, oh my God. He's like, man, your mom, I didn't know your mom's been through some shit. Like, now grant I'm paraphrasing, but like the whole interaction, it looked fun. And we know that Ross is really good at the family dynamic things. She's in Blackish, a very successful show. She does a phenomenal job in that show. So it could be something very entertaining for the family.
Yeah, it has a good comedic cast overall, and even some of the voiceovers. You can recognize who some of those people are, and it is the right way, to have a Christmas movie, to pretty much introduce December right on the first day of December. It does give me Disney vibes. It is that very family friendly comedy. It's probably not gonna, push the envelope too much at all. If this was in theater, I probably would not go out of my way to go see it. But since it is
No.
streaming, you know, I might check it out if there's nothing else. And because it's like, hey, it's December. Now we can start talking Christmas. So I might check it out in that aspect.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Free is for me.
Sticking with the Christmas theme, on that same day, coming to theaters, we have Silent Night. Also a family-friendly movie.
There's family inside of it, for sure.
Yeah, not family-friendly. Don't bring your kids to this. This is directed by John Woo. That should tell you already that it's not family-friendly. Some of the other hits from John Woo, we had Face Off, The Killer, Broken Arrow. He had many gems. I just named out some of my favorite, personally. It stars Joel Kinnaman. Kid Cudi is in it also. The premise of this one is a father and his child, they get caught in a crossfire shootout between two gangs. His son doesn't make it, and the father, on top of being injured, he ends up losing his ability to talk in the process. Hence the title, Silent Night. And then what comes next is just a mission of revenge and punishment by the father. We've seen this formula before, so it's not breaking new grounds. Now, me personally, I'm a sucker for a good revenge flick, and I like Kinnaman,
Yeah.
so I'll be checking it out. Plus, I'll never say no to a non-family friendly Christmas movie. I love those. I hope it's as entertaining as Violent Night was. I really enjoyed
That
that
was such a
movie.
fun
That was
movie.
highly entertaining. Yeah, I wanted to be that. We've seen this whole premise. We've seen it with different types of animals. This one here, we're using a kid where someone loses someone they love and just goes on a rampage for the rest of the movie. Except now it's the backdrop of Christmas and it's a father. What were your thoughts on this one?
Oh, dude, I was all for this. I think from the trailer, the only thing that was missing is that they should have changed how they spelled the word night. They should have put a K on it, and like this guy is going for justice, you know. But no, when I watched that trailer, I was like, I felt like I was back like in the '90s again, just straight up like action and taking out dudes. And I got so pumped watching it, and even like I like the fact that there was like a training montage in the trailer. Like you see him learning how to shoot guns. Like you get the sense that this was just a family man who had no idea how to do these things. But you see him training himself how to use a gun. He's training how to drive his car like John Wick style and stuff. Like he's just prepping himself for a full year to get revenge on these guys. I was like, yes, like I want this. Like Rocky this shit up and delete these guys. And the kills look like they're gonna be good too.
No, I like that. I want a really good song attached to that
Right?
montage.
Yeah.
Like, make me feel the montage. And yeah,
Kill.
one thing I will be disappointed if it's not included at some point in the movie. I better see some white doves flying at
Yes.
some point in the movie, because if we don't have
Uh,
white doves, is it a John
well,
Woo
it's
movie?
a Christmas movie, so I better see two turtle doves.
Yes. And so that I'm gonna be looking for that one. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be an automatic watch for me when this one comes out. Sticking with the theaters, on 12/8, the week after, we have Poor Things coming out. This is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, better known for The Lobster, which was a big I don't want to say underground hit, but it wasn't a mainstream movie, but something that picked the momentum and people liked.
Yeah.
It stars Emma Stone, William Dafoe, and Mark Ruffalo. In a nutshell, it's a alternate retelling of the Frankenstein story, where a young
Specifically
woman is,
the bride of
yes,
Frankenstein.
yeah, gets brought back to life, must learn to live and find her purpose in the new world. So, what were your thoughts on this one?
I love how odd this movie looks. This looks like it's in like another world altogether. Like and even like their performances you've seen in the trailer, they seem over the top. Like Mark Ruffalo, it looks like he's having a grand old time. Same thing with Emma Stone. Like they're just cheesing it up. I feel like Willem Dafoe's right at home. Like he's just doing like his usual thing, and it's great, you know. And I feel like everyone else has to just like catch up to what he's doing. This definitely feels like a playground for them to just explore different like techniques that they probably wouldn't be using in other movies, and just really just figure things out, you know, like that fun stuff of being an actor and just trying to discover something within a character. I get a lot of that from the trailer, and I'm all on board on this. Like I can't wait to see this movie. I love Frankenstein. Any movie having to do with Frankenstein, you've got my attention.
Yeah, this is one of those where the actors ask the director, like, "Okay, what level you want us at?" And the director
Yeah.
just says, "Defoe." That's it.
That's
Nothing else, just Defoe.
it.
He's like, "Finally, people are matching my energy." It looks intriguing, and I like the cast. Like, I feel like we haven't seen Emma Stone in much over the last few years, so it's really good to see her back because I think she's a really good actress.
Yeah.
I definitely will give this a try. I'm not sure if I'll go to the theater for it, but I definitely want to see it. So I'll try to catch it in the theater, but if not, I'm definitely catching it as soon as it goes to streaming. I like the quirkiness to it. Gives me a little bit Tim Burton aspect
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
So I'm aboard. I feel it's gonna be entertaining. It's not gonna be a movie where you're gonna get out and be like, that was blah.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna try to convince and drag my wife to watch this one.
Coming out that same weekend, we go from theater to streaming. We have Leaving the World Behind on 12/8 coming to Netflix. This is directed by Sam Ismail. One of his most popular projects that he worked on was Mr. Robot, which was a huge thriller hit TV show. This stars Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, Marshala Ali. So it's got a great cast. Pretty much all of the main characters are heavily talented. The premise of this is, you have two families who are complete strangers, are forced to come together and survive and try to trust each other as the world deals with a crisis due to cyber attacks. So it looks like one of those that it starts looking like a very simple premise at the beginning, where you have these two families, one staying at this holiday home, the other one comes like, no, this is our home, and then they having to like cohabitate. But then it looks like it's just gonna escalate as the cyber attacks get worse and worse. So it's gonna be one of those movies where it's like things are just gonna be thrown at these characters and they're just gonna have to react. It definitely gives me that good thriller vibes with this all-star cast. And I love the first season of Mr. Robot. And if we're kind of bringing that thriller aspect to the table, I'm on board for this one. I think it's gonna be really good. And the trailer did enough to grab my attention. So I'll probably be checking this one out day one based on the cast alone. Mahershala Ali is one of my favorite actors, and I feel Ethan Hawke is one of the most underrated actors.
True. Very true. Who's been in the game since he was a kid. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, when I saw the trailer for this one, like, cause the trailer starts off very almost hokey pokey, where like it's like the music's all cheerful, and you just get the sense this family doesn't do much. They're just, it's Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke's family. They're probably like homebodies who just don't live adventurously, and so they decide to go do something. Like they get this Airbnb house, and they're being a family, and it's like this fun little thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it looks like there's a mix up, and I did not expect it to have that twist where like something was going to go on with the world. I thought this was going to be some kind of like goofy comedy at first with how the music is playing and the thing and this little thing that's happening there with this Airbnb gone wrong. But then all of a sudden, Mahershala and his daughter are like, "Are we going to tell them? Oh, in due time." It's like, whoa, what's happening? Tell them what? And then this planes are falling from the sky, and all of a sudden Kevin Bacon's here and he has a shotgun, and it's like, okay, what just happened? What's we were on vacation 2 seconds ago. And now the music's just like it just takes a pivot, and I was like, all right, you've caught my attention. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I love everyone who's on screen, and I want to know what's because it seems like Mahershala and the daughter know more than they're telling. So it's like I almost feel like they are close to the threat from what the trailer shows, at least.
For a second there, my mind was like, is this Barbarian Part 2, but with couples?
Yeah, right.
No, this one's a definite C, and I mean it's not gonna be too hard. It's coming to streaming, so I'll be able to check it out. That sometimes on the 8th, on the 7th. Sometimes Netflix releases a little bit early,
Yeah.
but 7 for 8 for that one. Moving on to the next week, 7 days later, on the 15th, we have Wonka, which is one of the bigger movies that is coming out that month. This is directed by Paul King, known for Paddington and Paddington 2. It stars Timothy Chalamet, Hugh Grant, Sally Hawkins. This one is basically a Willy Wonka origin story, just focusing on, early adventures and meeting the Oompa Loompas. Now, I want to be honest, I've never really been a huge Willy Wonka fan. Any iteration of it, I don't think it's horrible. And Gene Wilder does a great job in the original. It's a great performance, but the story just never, entertained me, never grasped me that way. It is what it
Okay.
is. I never saw the movies more than once. I saw the movies, but never more than once. Never had an interest to go back to it. I might give it a try when it gets to streaming because it is a director who did Paddington. And I really enjoy both Paddington movies, but I'm not going to the theater to watch this one. But that's just a personal interest thing, not my type of movie. What were your thoughts?
Damn. Okay. Well, I'm someone who grew up with the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Gene Wilder's My Willy Wonka. I've watched that movie at least once a year. I love it. I still love it. It's great. That being said, I too will not be going to the theater to watch this movie. I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't think I need an origin story for him. He's the man who makes chocolate. That's all I needed. I do not need more than that, you know. And I like Timothy Chalamet. He's a very talented young actor. I think he has a lot to give, you know, as he progresses through his career. But I don't think this is one of the ones that's going to be like memorable for him and on his rise. Honestly, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not seeing it. I've never watched Paddington 1 or 2 either. I hear a lot of good things. Supposedly they make people cry. Nicolas Cage loves it. Yeah.
So does Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe when it comes to streaming myself, I'll watch it, but I'm definitely not going to the theater for this one.
Coming out that same weekend on the 15th to Apple TV, we have The Family Plan. This is directed by Simon Kellen Jones, stars Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Monaghan, Maggie Q. Haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah.
Uh, basically, the premise of this is, and stop me if you've heard this one before. Wife thinks husband is great dad and great husband, but wishes he was more exciting and their life was more exciting. Well, surprise, it turns out he's a former government agent or something like that. And now that life is crashing in with their quiet family life. I feel there has been so many movies that follow this concept of secret agent or assassin who has to reveal themselves to their family because that life starts barging in to their boring like family life. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna watch it. It looks like that. Shut your brain off and just enjoy the action and the quirkiness of it. And with it being streaming on Apple TV, that kind of gives me a little bit of confidence in it because Apple TV doesn't put out a lot, but when they put out things, it tends to be quality. They don't follow the Netflix aspect where it's just we're gonna bombard you with 300 things and good luck finding something in there that you're gonna like. You know, they take a more catered approach to it. So that gives me a little bit confidence that it is at least going to be entertaining. I'm not expecting uh critically acclaimed movie here, just pure entertainment that I could, you know, sit back, relax, not overthink about it, and just enjoy the action. So I will be checking this out when it comes out on Apple TV. What were your thoughts?
My hopes are that it's more True Lies and less Ghosted. Because
Ooh,
did you watch
Ghosted.
Ghosted? Because that was on
Yeah,
Apple
I
TV.
did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. Maybe they learned their lesson.
yeah. Apple TV does have they have some movies that are just like, okay, I could have passed on this one. It had the end. Ghosted had moments. There was in the beginning, I saw a glimmer of hope where it's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be really good, and then it just became whatever. Like I forgot most of what happens. I'm hoping I don't get more of that. I want to see some good action with some good fun moments. Like I laughed during the trailer when he's like talking to his wife. He's like, "I used to be an assassin, but now you know I'm a family man, and this is who I am."
Yeah, no, I feel even just basing off the trailer of Ghosted, that trailer never fully grabbed me. There was always something that was just like, I'm not sure. This one, I feel like I might be entertained by it,
Yeah,
and I think going with the family aspect over the obsessed lover aspect, I think it's a better dynamic for this type of movie.
I will admit also, like I think Wahlberg has found almost like a second coming by leaning into the comedy side of things. I think he's shining a bit more in those aspects. Think of like the movie The Other Guys. I thought he was hilarious in The Other Guys.
No, no, I agree. He's a peacock. You got to let him spread his
Yeah,
comedy
you gotta
wings
fly.
and fly. So I know we've been going all movies, but let's talk about the one TV show we have coming out on December 20th. This is going to be to Disney Plus. It's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is created by Rick Riordan and Jonathan Steinberg. It stars Walker Scobell, Leah Jeffries, and the late Lance Reddick, who we lost earlier this year, with the man with the iconic voice. The story follows a young demigod named Percy Jackson who's trying to learn what he's capable of while trying to restore Olympus after Zeus accuses him of stealing the master lightning bolts. Pretty much very similar to the movies and the storyline of the movies. I watched the movies. The movies were more oriented towards teens, while this one seems to be more oriented to a younger audience overall. The trailer The trailer didn't really pique my interest, mainly because it did seem catered to the younger audience, and the storyline seemed very similar to what I already saw in the movies. And the movies weren't great enough for me to be like, oh, I would love to see another iteration of that. Not saying never. It is on streaming, so if I got nothing else to watch, I might check it out only because I did enjoy Greek mythology growing up, so it was always
Yeah.
cool seeing those aspects with Zeus, Poseidon, and Hera and all of those gods. And also, it's December. There aren't many new shows or even current shows putting out seasons during this time of the year. It might get to the point where it's like I'm done with all my other shows. I need something to check out. So I might give it the 3 episode hit it or quit it try. What about you?
I was never much for the movies, so I didn't really give them much attention. I think it's definitely that age bracket thing that came into play. I will say when I watched the trailer, I watched a few of the trailers for this one, and while I probably wouldn't usually give this one a go, I think I'm gonna give it a shot, like the 3 episode thing, just because the production value doesn't look bad.
Mhm.
I think it actually looks pretty decent for a TV series. Like I think the production of this actually got my attention more than the movies did when I saw the trailers for those. And I think that the cast looks like they have a good chemistry, good charisma. When I saw Lance on screen, I was just like, oh, there you are. And I almost want to see this. I want to hear what his Zeus would be like. I'm just imagining him like talking to them. It's like, you took the lightning from the gods. Did you think you would get away with it?
Yes. Oh man, I just had Destiny flashbacks. Uh,
Like I want to hear him one more time. Like he was so good in everything he does.
you know what? I think you could best me. I'm gonna, regardless, give it a 3 episode try when it comes out for Lance Riddick in honor of Lance
Yeah.
Riddick. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give it a 3 episode try.
So we will hit it and we'll quit it once he's gone off the screen.
Yeah. Going back to the movies, on the 22nd, we have The Iron Claw coming to theaters. This is directed by Sean Durkin. It stars Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White. Basically, this is based off of the story of the Von Erich brothers, who were famous wrestlers back in the 80s. In a nutshell, it just follows their failures and their successes on their path to greatness, being remembered in a way throughout their wrestling career. What were your thoughts on this one?
I mean, this is one that's been in the making for quite some time. Efron's been bulking up for quite a while for this, so I was excited for this one, to be honest. Especially as a wrestling fan growing up, the Von Erich brothers are huge when it comes to the wrestling world, and it's a very tragic story. Like, there's like 4 brothers. Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert! I mean, they all deleted themselves. Like they all have tragic deaths, and so to play into this movie and see what led to that turmoil and like the curse of this family, I think it's going to be a very touching film, very emotional, very much like to the wrestler was for Mickey Rourke's portrayal of that kind of character. I think we're going to get that from Efron and Alan White.
The first thing I thought, honestly, this movie when I saw the trailer, it sold me .2 seconds in when I saw A24. As soon as A24, I'm like, I'm in. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I need not see no more.
You got me.
That's yeah, that's where they're at with me right now. But besides that, after watching the full trailer, I was still highly intrigued and in. I grew up watching wrestling every week, so that grabbed my attention right from the start. And so I seeing the scenes in the ring and little moves happening and everything. It looks like it's going to be a good drama revolving around family. As
Yeah.
you mentioned, it is a very tragic story. I think you bringing up like the wrestler is a good comparison of probably the tone and the theme that we're going to be visiting in this with all the tragedy. It's about real family, not like Fast and the Furious family. And I think that's gonna be a good dynamic because rather than just be a bunch of random wrestlers, the fact that they're brothers and dad and all that family aspect, that brings it to a new emotional level if they're able to hit that, which A24 usually is able to hit. So I am 100% on board with this one and we'll be checking it out. I realized there is another thing coming out actually the week before on the 15th that I almost forgot to mention, and that is Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child
Oh
of
yeah.
Fire. This one's coming out the 15th to Netflix. This is directed by Zack Snyder. known for many movies, but some of the ones, Man of Steel, 300, Sucker Punch, Dawn of the Dead, Army of the Dead. He has a bunch of things under his belt. It stars Charlie Hunnam, Sophia Botella,
Sure, I'm not good with her last name either.
Botella. It's the Hispanic in me. I see a double L and I go, yeah,
I
right
mean,
away.
it should be
Botella.
French. It should be a French sounding last name. So
Yeah, we'll go Botella.
yeah.
There we go. And Anthony Hopkins. Hopefully this isn't a performance that he phones in because we've gotten a few of those as he's gotten older in age. Uh,
Well, I think he's supposed to be the voice of the android character in this movie.
okay. Right, he can do that from the phone. Um, so the premise of this, you have a young woman who's tasked with assembling warriors from neighboring planets to help stand against a tyrannical army that threatens her colony. So she's, basically the Nick Fury of this world, just gathering all these warriors. Uh, First of all, the movie looks absolutely beautiful. Uh, if there's anything Zach is good at, is making his movies visually stunning, and no one can ever take that away from Zack Snyder. There's little argument to that. I am hoping that the story and the writing is able to match the quality of the visuals, since that tends to be where Zach's movies can fall short. Is the storytelling can be convoluted. Sometimes some of the dialogue and the writing could be a little weird. So I'm hoping this is one because I'm really excited for it, where the visuals match the content itself of the story. So I will be watching this day one on Netflix as soon as they make it available, and and then we get part two next year. What were your thoughts
Yeah.
on this?
I mean, this is supposed to be his Star Wars story that never got to happen. And it's
Mhm.
very evident when you see one of the characters wielding what looks like lightsabers.
Can I interrupt you to say that seeing that action with the lightsaber, I was like, I would have loved that visual in Star Wars,
In real Star Wars? Yeah.
in real Star
Yeah.
Wars.
I honestly, when I saw it, I was like, damn, does that look better than the lightsabers I've been getting all these years?
It kind of
Damn.
does. It kind of
Yeah,
does.
like it looked really cool. And it's like you said, like he knows how to make dope shit. Like when it comes to things that just look so cool and bad, like you want to experience his worlds. If there's something he's really good at, he's visually good at world building. Story building, not as much. But the visuals, like, man, like I want to run through that world. I want to be one of those warriors, one of those soldiers. Sign me up. You know? I'm excited for the action that's going to be in this movie. And that's what he is. He's like a Michael Bay-esque kind of director. You know he's going to entertain you. Guaranteed.
His movies, and this one, just watching the trailer, is no different. I like to call it walking posters, because when you watch this trailer, the whole time you're like, "Ooh, that would be a cool poster. Oh, that would be a cool poster. Oh, that would be a cool poster." You will have your wall filled by the end on just the cool imagery that you have there. Yeah, no, there's nothing else to say. I'm definitely excited to watch this. I'm like really just really hoping the story is good so that I can stay excited for part two.
Yeah. I think it's gonna need multiple movies because from the trailer alone, it does feel like there's a lot going on.
One movie left for the month, and that's going to be Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Comes out on the 22nd, competing against the Iron Claw. This is directed by James Wan. We know he did the original Aquaman, the Conjuring, Insidious, Saw. A lot of horror in Aquaman. It's pretty much what we got from him. It stars Jason Momoa, Patrick Wilson, the name that I'm about to butcher, Yahya Abdul Mateen. Uh, we'll call him YA because I probably
Yeah,
destroyed
yeah.
his name. I apologize.
That was
Uh,
actually pretty good. That's
the premise of this, we have Black Manta, who was the villain from the first movie. He's gotten an upgrade, and he's ready to destroy everything Aquaman holds dear, forcing Aquaman to team up with his brother Orm, also known as Ocean Master, to try to take him down. That's the general premise of this. Now, this is the last movie of the now dead DCU. Before we start going into the new vision led by James Gunn. Uh, the first movie was okay. It was entertaining. It was good at what it did. So it wasn't a critical like masterpiece or anything like that. It was just pure entertainment, and it accomplished that. Um, but it's not a movie that I would go back and rewatch like some of the other movies. I think I seen
Yeah.
Aquaman once since the first time, but I'm never like, oh, I really want to see Aquaman again. So it can be a little forgettable, as entertaining as it was through the first viewing. Uh, all of the supposed production issues has me a little wary, but the trailer did bring me around a little bit. Going into the trailer, I'm like, it's gonna be a disaster. And I saw the trailer, I'm like, it kind of looks fun. Like it's gonna be a little bit fun.
Yeah.
It has the potential to be that, a decent action movie with maybe some buddy cop elements between like Aquaman and Ocean Master, since, especially Ocean Master doesn't really like Aquaman, they're being forced to team up and go on this adventure together. And also, it could be a shut your brain and just enjoy this last ride for the DCU as we knew it. So I might check it out in the theater just because this movie has a large scope, and I feel the large scope of it will translate better onto a big screen.
Yeah, I totally agree. Honestly, I'm glad you mentioned the buddy cop thing, because it made me think of like when Part One was being made, and James Wan had said like the purpose and the thing he was trying to get across to the audience was that this is like '80s cheesy action hero, like one-liner action hero like Schwarzenegger and Stallone. And I got that when I watched that movie. I didn't go into Aquaman 1 thinking like, man, I can't wait to watch this. I want to see this. It's gonna be great. I thought it was gonna suck, and I thought it was gonna be the worst. I was like, wow, that was actually a lot of fun. That was more fun than I should have had watching that movie. I too have only watched it once. That's also because my wife will not watch it again. Well, but in turn, it's like, all right, well, I'm kind of excited for a second one, I guess. And then again, we saw that trailer, and I was like, okay, I kind of want to see this. I want to see the dynamic between these two characters. It kind of made me think of the Lois and Superman show on CW,
Mhm.
and like there was episode or a few episodes during like one of the last seasons where Superman teams up with his brother, who he's imprisoned, and they together they're the only hopes that can save the universe. And so I get that sense here where it's just like, look, I don't like you, you don't like me, but we both love the ocean, right? We love our people of the ocean, right? This guy's gonna kill all that. It's like, God damn it, fine, let's get this thing done. Do I have to go back to jail after this? Do like I'm expecting some kind of dialogue. I'm just like, I saved my people. Am I still going to be in trouble? Can I be out of timeout? Yeah,
This is buy me some leeway. Do I get like a few years off my
yeah.
sentence?
I think it's gonna
Uh,
be fun.
Yeah, I agree, and that's all I'm expecting. I didn't think of it that way, but I feel you bring up a good comparison with the whole '90s action cheese, uh, which isn't great if you're gonna critically break down a movie,
No.
but on pure entertainment, yes. I go back to those type of movies all the time where it's just like sit back, entertain me. My brain is off. It's been a long week at work. I feel Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom can be that, and at least just let's end on a glimmer of just a spark, a glimmer of hope for the
Yeah.
DCU.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, Momoa hasn't really had a box office flop that I could think of as of late, right? Fast and the Furious did well for him. Aquaman did earn $1 billion, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
So,
It's one of the most financially successful movies, and because it also, unlike Batman versus Superman, it retained better in preceding weeks after its opening.
yeah.
Jason Momoa, not the greatest actor, but he's never gonna shortchange you on energy when
Oh
it
yeah,
comes
no.
to his characters. You can tell he is fully into it and enjoying himself, and that translates onto the audience. When you can tell when an actor is enjoying doing what they're doing. The Last Fast and the Furious, not a great movie, but Jason Momoa stood out as an entertaining factor in that movie because you almost had fun with him. You can tell he was like, I'm gonna have so much fun with this role.
Yeah.
And that ends up like translating to the audience.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think whatever he does, you see he's having a great time. Like he totally is in love with his job.
With that being said, that is some of the major releases we're getting for movies and TV shows, mostly movies, in the month of December. This has been this month's episode of Stay Tuned. Make sure you stay tuned for January's episode of Stay Tuned that comes out next month. That's a lot of stay tunes that I'm saying right now.
So
But
get it through your
again,
head, guys. Stay tuned.
we release this every month, either on the last day of the month or the first day of the month, just to kind of give you a preview. We do the homework, we get the information, so you don't have to, and hopefully give you something new to watch for that month. I'm your host for this episode, Jose Ramos.
I'm not your host, George.
Thank you for tuning in. If there's anything we did miss, make sure that you comment down below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. And again, comment because it helps us out in the end. And enjoy this month of movies and TV. So, translation.